Hello, class. This is the week one lecture with the week one PowerPoint slides. The theme of this week is big ideas. I want to start by reviewing the three required textbooks for this course. The activities this week do require use of the textbooks, so you need to get the textbooks obtained immediately. You can see the three acronyms that I'll be using when I give reading assignments, so get those memorized. They're pretty straightforward. Um, ELA, Experiences in Language Arts, that's our main literacy text. The week by week book is dedicated to how to make weekly plans and how to do progress monitoring and assessment. And then the DAP, the Developmentally Appropriate Practice Book, is a publication of your main professional association. And it contains the learning outcomes for different levels and different types of instruction. We'll be using all three books throughout the semester, and at the end of this week, you have a scavenger hunt due. So that's your incentive to get everything in order this week. Two of the three books are published by Cengage, and our department head recommends that you all go ahead and get that unlimited ebook access so that you can get the digital versions of these textbooks, but also you can rent a hard copy textbook as part of this program. The subscription information is posted to our Blackboard page, and you can contact me or the bookstore if you have any problems obtaining your books. And there's the website, cengage.com. I'll also be uploading just the slides for this presentation, so those will have clickable links. So I want you to get familiar with your textbooks, flip through them, look at the table of contents, scan the introductory notes from the editors and authors. Also scan the back matter, get familiar with where the glossary is, the subject index, other things of that nature. And, use page flags or highlighters, take note of any content that seems especially interesting, and just get comfortable with your tools so that you can navigate them with ease as the semester goes by. And I know this seems a little bit silly, but ask yourself, why is this book required for this course? I promise you we don't just randomly make up books to be required. Each book is selected with purpose, with a specific reason. So I want you to do some critical thinking and reflecting on why these three books were selected for our language and literacy course. Okay, professional associations. I have direct links posted in Blackboard under week one, and I would like for you to explore these websites and familiarize yourself because this is just the beginning of your professional development as early childhood educators, and it's something that will never end. One thing that I hope you'll pick up on is the connection between the NAEYC and your DAP book. For one thing, they published it, so that's the obvious connection. But I really want you to flip through the book and look at the website at the same time to see what these connections are. And then I would also like you to visit the ILA website and the IDA website. And their links are placed here, and you'll be able to access those through the PowerPoint I upload and direct links on Blackboard. Kind of the same critical question with the textbooks. Why do these organizations exist? Right? Secondary question, how can they benefit you as someone who's pursuing a degree in early childhood education? Okay, now this is not English 112, right? So I'm not going to worry too much about all the nitpicky stuff with APA, but there are some basic document setup guidelines that I would like you to follow anytime you're uploading a Microsoft Word document. If you're grabbing language from another source to make a point in a discussion forum, I would expect you to make at least some attempt to cite that source using APA. Why? Why am I torturing you? This is just kind of part of the deal. As you move through any sort of education, licensing, or degree program, you will be writing articles or writing activities and assignments and essays in the field of education, and the field of education uses the APA citation style. The it stands for American Psychological Association, and so that's kind of who's driving the bus with all this is the psychologists. But the same goes for the other social sciences, including sociology and education. We're currently in the 7th edition, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll try to keep some resources posted in Blackboard. We always have the Writers Center at Coastal if you need it, and here are a couple helpful websites if you ever need a brush up on APA style. All right, so one of our 3 textbooks is called the DAP, and you're going to hear that acronym a lot in your early childhood program. So why is that? Well, DAP stands for Developmentally Appropriate Practice. Developmental, let's break this down one word at a time. Developmental, meaning that it's related to the growth and progress of a child. Appropriate, meaning that it's correct or makes sense, it fits well, it's within some specified range. And practice, not to go all English teacher on you, but we're talking about the noun version, a practice in your teaching practice. And it's anything that you say or do or present as an early childhood educator, right? So what does that all mean? What we're saying is everything that you do as an early childhood educator should be informed by whether or not it is a developmentally appropriate practice. Does this activity make sense given the current developmental stage and ability level of the child? So, okay, how do you know if your lesson is ADAPT? Well, that's what this whole course is really about, learning how to make good decisions with class materials and activities concerning literacy development. So that's what that DAP book is all about. It's got the learning standards and objectives as defined by your professional association, the NAEYC. It all kind of comes full circle. Okay, I'm going to load you up with some buzzwords and acronyms and all sorts of fun stuff here. Evidence-based. Are your materials and activities evidence-based? In other words, are they informed by the most up-to-date reading, research, literacy research, early childhood education research? Now, you might see a brand new article post that is some sort of study where the findings show that some specific activity is helpful for preschool age children. But then if you look at your DAP book, your learning standards, maybe it's not mentioned there. Well, there's always going to be a lag between the most cutting edge research and what's published in by a professional association. And it's because one study isn't enough. You need to build a body of research that shows that this method is effective. And the way that you do that is other people will come along and replicate that study that you saw over and over and over again until we can say with lots of confidence that this is a developmentally appropriate practice and that it is evidence-based. When you go into your DAP book and look around, you're going to see where they list out kind of the shoulds and should nots for lots of different age groups and sub-skills. And so you'll see a DAP column, and you think about that as a thumbs up, what you should be doing. And then if you look at the in contrast column, that's sort of the don't do it this way, thumbs down. There's a question on the scavenger hunt about that. And then if you ever encounter SBRR, that stands for scientific-based reading research, which is kind of another way of saying evidence-based. Someone will say something to you like, is your reading program SBRR? And what they are asking is if it is backed by scientific research. A more informal way of saying evidence-based or SBRR, a way to simply say that you've been a reflective teacher and identified what works best for your students, that's called a best practice. And that's a phrase I hear thrown around all the time, not just in early childhood education, but in higher education. And so if you ever find yourself in an interview setting and someone asks you about your best practices, that's what they're asking. What have you identified that consistently, reliably works, that is backed by evidence? And pedagogy. Pedagogy is the study of teaching. And so I don't want anyone to ever be caught in an awkward moment where they don't know what that means. If you are an educator, you need to know that word, pedagogy. And then if something is pedagogical, it is related, of course, to the study of teaching. Okay, so those slides are all going to be used in preparation for the website and textbook scavenger hunt, along with visiting those websites and flipping through your textbooks. These next two slides are related to your discussion forum. Okay, so these are the big 10 ideas for EDU 280, and the whole course is designed around this. I could talk for an hour about each thing, but that would be torture, and I'm not going to do that to you. Right now, I'm just going to kind of lay it out just enough so that you can take one of these and then create a discussion forum post where you sort of free write and reflect on what it means to you. Okay, here we go. Number one. These are things that when you walk away from this class, when you're done with EDU 280, I hope you do these things, right? Design a literacy-rich environment. And that means when I walk into your early childhood classroom, I should just be inundated with high-quality books and activity centers that inspire me to produce language. The books should be, if I'm a little person, the books should be easy for me to reach. I should be encouraged to be handling those books independently. Okay. Number two, reframe feedback. Okay. When you observe your children in your classrooms produce language, produce text, you are going to see quote unquote errors everywhere you look. But it's important to not frame your feedback as someone who is correcting errors, okay? When it comes to creation of literacy, production of language, talking, writing, drawing, you name it, more is more at this developmental stage. If we correct students too much at this stage of early childhood, we're essentially training them to produce less because no one wants to be corrected, right? On that note, we want, within reason, noisy classrooms. Have you ever heard the phrase, children should be seen and not heard? Not now, not in 2020, not with what we know about literacy development, right? So children should be active participants in their classroom environment, speaking, listening, reading, and writing, asking questions. Many years ago, it would have been disrespectful for a student to ask a teacher a question out of context, but We know better now. Noisy classrooms. Okay, engaging with families. I know that sometimes this is easier said than done, but one thing that we know a lot when it comes to literacy is that it starts at home, and we can't move a mountain with the limited time we have with these children during the weekdays. So we'll have a whole unit on, that's why we have a whole unit on family literacy later on this semester. Embody diversity. Again, it's so tempting to go on and on about each of these, but for right now, what I want to say about this is diversity isn't just picking a few books that have children of color in them. Um, we're we can do so much better than that, and we will do so much better than that. We will model ourselves as people who support diversity and desire diversity in our books, in our classrooms. Um, yeah, oh, I could just go on and on, but for now, moving on. Number 6, talk with, not at children. We want to create organic, natural conversations with children so that we're modeling language for them. We are not just dumping words into their ears. This is a two-way street, right? Measure meaningfully, that's just a fancy way of saying that when we create assessments, for one thing, we should be assessing. Anytime you want to see a child exhibit a particular skill or knowledge, you have to have a tool to measure that, right? A lot of times we fall into this standardized test discussion, and not everyone, but lots of people hate standardized tests, right? I get it. There is so much more to assessment than an end of year or end of semester standardized test. We should be assessing all day, every day, and documenting. And that week by week book is really helpful for that. We'll talk more about that later. Designing with the end in mind. So that means whenever you go to make lesson plans, design activities, or design assessments, you should start by visualizing like the ideal of whatever it is that you seek, right? And then work backwards from there. That's a theory of instructional design, which is a whole different course. But we will be making literacy centers and assessments in this class, and we always want to work backwards with those. Okay, it's never too soon. What do I mean by that? What I mean is it's never too soon to have a literacy engagement activity with children. Infancy is not too soon. So, some people, it's kind of an old school viewpoint, they think that literacy begins in kindergarten, or literacy begins when you can start writing letters, or literacy begins when you can read a book out loud. No, literacy begins from birth, and we'll be getting into that more this semester as well. I've been collecting some funny videos from my friends, baby babbling, book handling, and these are little tiny babies. It really is never too soon. There are even studies about how the mother's language can impact a baby before it's even born. It's really never too soon. And on the other side of that coin, it never ends. And what I mean by this one is you, as an early childhood educator, your work never ends. You don't just stop at the end of this semester looking for new research on literacy, right? The rest of your career, you should be keeping up to date with the best practices, keeping up to date with your professional association, keeping up to date with the amazing new books that are published every year. Beautiful, diverse, interesting, beautifully illustrated children's picture books. You never stop collecting high quality literature for your classrooms, right? Okay, I feel like I've gone on and on. Yes, I've hit the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to stop. And thanks for listening, and you know where to find me if you have any questions. Bye.